Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, special select board meeting Monday, December 15th, 2025 at 5 p.m. here at the town hall. I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Any changes or corrections to the agenda? All in favor of the agenda as read?
Aye.
Any opposed? I have budget discussion for 2026, 27. Papers here.
Okay, let me go ahead.
Yeah. go
So
ahead.
the packet of papers I gave you, and I figured since we have some extra time, I can also kind of, explain how it all links together that you're gonna see in the town report. But starting out is the statement of revenue. This is, like I said, mostly done, it's only a page and a half, it's more of a historical type of revenue. Other than the very first one, property taxes. So to delinquent tax revenue, I do not put anything down according to Sullivan Powers because we're not sure what we're going to get in for delinquent taxes each year, so we can't count on that. And same thing with the municipal tax, property tax adjustment. We used to put money into that account and treat it as though it was income coming in, but actually it's calculated and down below into government revenue. So in the past, what was happening is we were actually doubling, we were like, not double dipping because we're not getting it in, but we were accounting for it more so twice than not. So we were recommended, don't put anything in that line item any longer. State of Vermont current use funds is the funds that we get in for the individuals that are in current use. And then we get the money back from the state after everybody in the state of Vermont pays into it. You can see historically how we were budgeted 120,000 in 24-25. Then what we actually got was 121 through 22. We budgeted 121 again. I bumped it to 125. Then I come down and then the interest on overdue taxes, again, that's an estimation. Right now I am like 1,100 away from the 7,000 I projected for this year. So it's pretty much just going past in history. And same with the 8% penalty. Now, that's a little different, like she has been collecting close to 8,000 a year on the interest. You also saw that on the expenditure. So it's actually a wash, it's an in and an out. So if I have it as an income, it's gonna be presented as an going out. And so we don't actually keep the 8,000, but it does offset the expenditure that we did with it. The liquor license, historical, I put $420. Dog license, we get about 1,200 now because we're pushing the full 200 license sold. State of Vermont highways, that's for class 2 and 3. Again, that's pretty much 130,000. We got 138. We haven't quite finished this year, so I don't have what a total this year is. State of Vermont in lieu of taxes, that's typically your state land, your forests, your utility properties, whatever appraisal they give us, they believe that's what their value is, and then we get not a kickback, but we get in lieu of taxes on that property. You can see the civil fines, this is where you'll find what we take in for civil fines. So we actually took in $2,594. So that's kind of a way to show the offset of the charges we have for the sheriff's department. So we do take in some money on civil fines. And it also shows you how much.
Is that like speeding tickets and things like that?
Yeah, it's just speeding tickets, the civil fines. Reappraisal, we don't do a budget there, because what happens is when we get that money in, it then goes into the reserve. And it's primarily just for a reappraisal like we're in right now. So we can't utilize that money. So we don't put anything there. Land use release. That we don't budget for, because it doesn't typically happen, but what that money in the 2015 we collected was someone who took, anybody who takes their property out of current use has to pay a penalty. And so obviously we had somebody that took some of their property out of current use, and then we get, what is due to us that they had gotten over the years. There's a calculation the state has. So we don't plan on that, though, but it does sometimes happen. And some of these columns you'll see too, when they explain from Sullivan Powers where we come in with more revenue than expected, these are the type of things. State of Vermont Transportation Grant, again, those are grants, so we never can count on them. We get them in, but we can't count that they're gonna be income. Same thing, you see FEMA. And State of Vermont other, that's typically all of our grants, Better Back Roads, the GIA grants. We can't count on them, but we do get the money in. But again, it's offset in the expenditure. So a lot of those grants are all a wash. Not necessarily, because we have to usually pay a percentage on our, so.
Kim, do we know if any grants that we're not going to get?
I haven't, Morgan works with mostly all the applications for grants, so I don't really deal much with the grants. But we usually get pretty much everything we apply for. So then the charges for the services, again, town clerk fees. That's for anybody that does any recording, I get $9. I get $6 for every $15 that's for of a page that's recorded. Preservation of records, so for every page I record, it's $15. Of the $15, 6 of it goes to preservation of records, 9 goes to the clerk fees. Preservation of records, also then comes out of here and it goes into the reserve. And that is primarily, and it's set just to my recording books, when I have to bind all my books, bind my special archive papers. Copying fees are very minimal, we don't really get a whole lot from them, I put 110 on that. Bank fees paid, again, that's another one that I really can't count on, that's when somebody has a return check. The bank will charge them, and I also have a fee on top of that for all the hard work that goes into the return checks. Research fees collected. So my land records system is online and it's hooked into our account so that when any of the researchers do any type of researching, they have to pay to retrieve copies, and that retrieval goes back into our account, a percentage of it. And then our interest earned on our money markets. I have $3,500 on there, and I usually exceed that, and I anticipated this year we had 2,500. I anticipate exceeding that only because we did get the money for the Hinkley Brook Road project, which is gaining $700 a month in interest. So then you go down to the miscellaneous revenues, town hall rent, that's pretty basic across the board. We go to insurance checks, that's nothing that we deal with. Again, we have grants for miscellaneous revenue permits. These are permits, weight permits. That's pretty much the only permits we really have. We collect from them. Incident reimbursements, we can't count that, but I have to have a line item for the revenue part when people run into guardrails and things, and their insurance company has to give us the money back. I made a line item that is primarily for incidents that happen such as that, so that it doesn't just get stuck under the village park donations, we were just keeping track of that for the village park committee that was in. Last year was $50, again, I can't count money for that, and we wouldn't even use it anyways if I was to put it in there. It's primarily just for that. Village park trustee of public funds, Again, that's for the village park. Village park under the trustee of public funds has stock. Or small CDs, I should say, not stock, they have small CDs, and I get little itty bitty dividends every single month, and every single month they come in there. So over the year, yes, you got $2.11, but it's got to be accounted for.
Wow.
And then other revenue is just. I try and keep that as low as possible, and we use it for very little, and I'd have to go into it and say exactly what the other revenue's for, it's. The inter-fund,
Is the town hall rent, is that from the post office?
that's from the post office that we get every year, and it's set by the federal. I think it's either 5 or 7 years, their contract usually renews. And that's about the only time we can change the amount, and if we wanted to get more rent than what they're wanting to give us, there's a huge process you have to go through, but it's a contract,
Pretty cheap, is it?
yeah.
Does that include their heat and electricity? You said.
Their electricity, they're on their electricity,
Okay.
but they probably do utilize our oil if we have it, and that's why we put a heat pump in there. And then the interfund revenues, they're sure, trustee of public funds has separate funds, we at one time we're going to use those and we don't use those. But the Sherwin Cambridge Fund is a fund from the Hawaiian Bank. And it was an endowment that was left. And of the endowment, it's just be split 3 ways. The library gets a chunk, the white church gets a chunk, I should call it white church anymore. Sorry. And then we get, so it gets split 3 ways, and we get $240.34 of it. So that's where the revenue portion comes in. So if we were to take our little sheet there that Buzz had done, and we were over last week for our expenditure, you can see that the bottom line number on that came to $1,525,473.
Say that just one more
Say that
time.
again?
It's on the last page.
What page are
The old, one of those issues.
we on? Oh,
Are we all agree that our sheet came out to 1,525,473? So this is gonna be hard for you guys to follow, but I'm gonna flip some pages here.
And that's because we had the $500. What was that extra $500? It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter,
It's just
it's too much to
this.
follow.
Find it
Oh,
there.
that's
Or from here.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So then I gave you guys what's called
Here,
the expenditure sheet, it's 6 pages.
right.
Okay, this was gonna be the town report, so if we go to the very last page of that. You will find your number on your total town and highway expenses at $1,525,473. So after I filled in all these little blocks. In the network system. They came up and matched exactly what you guys talked about at the last meeting. And so that's what's gonna appear in the town report, the $1,525,473.
Okay.
We agreed to last week.
You see that? So then on that same chart. We're gonna have to add the $200,000 capital budget if you guys approve that this evening. So that's gonna give our total town overall expenses of everything we owe everybody as $1,725,473. But I have anticipated revenue coming in. And I'll tell you, explain that a little more, of $174,830. Then I also have anticipated grants for the highways of $130,000. You subtract those two, and you come down to the $1,426,043. And that's what's gonna be needed to collect taxes.
Oh,
Which matches your revenues. Which matches the revenue number. That we just went over. So to come up with the revenue. I have to go into the revenue, I have to take our expenses. was a little chart. I have to subtract all of the revenue except for the property tax. Okay? And so the difference between the subtraction of my revenue from the expenditure that we need gives me that big final, that's what our property taxes have to be collected for. And that's how I get that $1,115,813. So there's a lot of pieces to the bottom.
The last number you just said, I lost.
The 1,115,813, at the top of the statement of revenue, the very first line.
Yep, got it, sorry.
So I have to leave that blank when I'm filling out my revenue. And get to the final number of what I filled out. And take it from what you guys want as an expenditure, and the leftover is what has to be made up the property taxes. And so that's what you're gonna see in the town report, these are exactly going into the town report as it is. Don't you guys make changes?
And how certain are you for these anticipated revenues?
So, we're going to move then
We're going to move
to the sheet that says town budget.
the one page. The sheet has
The one page, yes, you did,
No, I only have the, I only have the,
I think I read that sheet in there for you, maybe that's why you didn't get that.
okay, great,
So
thank you.
this is the town budget in a snapshot. Which is a little bit easier to follow. So all the columns, we're going with select board itemized budget, so we're actually taking. Buzz's sheet again, and I'm consolidating it into salaries, benefits, I'm just taking his.
Yeah,
Hour
gotcha.
charge and apps.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up with 594,902. And if you go to his. Expenditure line where it says total line, total. Total town government, I have full data. That's this is not, I mean, it's not saying. No, it's not gonna be the same, so don't, because humanitarians is in here, but it's not good. So then I got interest on overdue taxes, the revenue that we just worked on,
Mhm.
there's your 174,830. That's taking the small items outside of. And I'm going to subtract that. Come down to the town of Grafton highway budget, that's a pretty simple, on our expenditure, we worked on into $855,840. That's what we say we want, the 130,000 is from the class 2-3. That's gonna come right off it because it belongs to highway. So we're deducting it from the highway, so actually taxes needed for just our highway department is $724,840.
25.
And is this 130 on this sheet?
It is.
On the.
Yeah, it's on the,
Oh, I see,
anticipated
that's it,
revenue.
okay, I got it,
Okay.
okay.
But that's total government and highway revenue. Now I'm breaking it down on our little budget sheet and it's just becomes highway down there now.
I understand.
So then the second column are humanitarian articles. We break them out so everybody can see them in the town report exactly what we're giving. And we're giving 12,231,000. Then we have proposed special articles. That comes to 62,500. So 62,500 and the 12,231. With 74,731, then we're gonna add the 200,000. We're gonna add our 594 from up above, our articles. So total town government budget is 869,633. And then all the revenue on the left hand side, I'm gonna minus that out. And so that's gonna leave total revenue needed just for the selectmen budget is 694,803. We add those two together. And that final number is the 1420643 is exactly the same number that you guys.
For the taxes needed for the.
Yeah.
On the expenditure.
So what,
Questions? I know, it's really hard, and that's why,
You are so very good.
there's so many pieces, and that's why when I sigh when we decide to change something, it certainly can be changed, that is not a problem, even right up until before we print the town report. But you change one, and I changed at least 4 to 8, it's just like that.
I got a question, Kim,
Yeah.
on the statement of revenue, statement,
Yeah, there's 2 pages.
the US government FEMA, 1,533,000, is that what we've actually received?
That's what we had gotten last year in 2025.
That's what we just
4.5.
Really,
received
actually,
from it.
We would have received some funds in the prior
And
year.
it's, so it's a combination, but this is just 24, 25.
Yeah.
So
And we'll probably-
for the 25-26 year. The FEMA we've received isn't showing up yet.
No, because that's just a budget line. item.
It's
Show
not
what
a,
we
yeah, it
budgeted
should be
for.
a
And
line.
it'll be till next year, I'll give you another,
There will be
sheet,
a
and
that
it'll
second
be, there'll be a
actual.
column there for that too.
Okay.
Statement right here, okay.
so Kim,
Mhm.
the one pager, is that gonna go on the town report?
All of that I gave you is going in the town report.
Okay, so it's gonna be easy for people to understand
Yes,
that one page.
but I figured if people were to start asking at pre-town meeting or something, you guys would know that, I mean, yeah, this is a nice snapshot of it all. But when you really wanna get into the nitty-gritty details, you would go to your expenditure and the revenue.
So now, you said Buzz did something for you, do we have that too?
Well, that's that spreadsheet we all worked with. One of these,
Oh.
he just did it in an Excel rather than an.
Oh, okay.
We just use the change numbers on the fly. That would make sense.
And our expenditure did come out to exactly 3.02% increase for expenditure. So
I'm
congratulations.
sorry, what?
Say that again.
So what's that?
The percentage was 3.02.
That's for both combined.
And I have no question if there are no questions.
Good
Just explain again, please, how you get from the 1.42064
that.
to the
I don't see the percentages on here.
15813, since you've already taken out the grants and the expense revenue from this total on the 14th penny. How do you get to the 115? Because this is what you're
Because
gonna
I-
actually base the tax rate on,
Yes.
is the one.
No, I'm not, I'm gonna, it's gonna be the 1420643.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
anticipating taxpayers are going to pay us 1,115,813,
okay,
providing no one is delinquent.
okay.
And that's why you're seeing the difference there than unfavorable, because we have delinquencies. Not everybody pays their taxes, so I won't always get that 1,115,000.
What do you see in favor?
Well, then
Just say it again.
how much?
Can
Can you
It's
point
about
out
the-
where
where's
that you're
the
talking
data?
about, what you're talking about?
On the top of the revenue. The revenue sheet there, and I had to go back and then get the property taxes. Proposed budget 26.7, property tax, that's what we're anticipating our taxpayers I should be bringing in.
And the rest of it was gonna get from the state.
Right.
You both mentioned the percentage. Quickly,
If that was compared to last year's budget to this year's budget on our expenditure,
okay,
we've
it's
increased.
not written on here somewhere. You-
No, it's just what I had written down in pencil, it just the addition and subtraction on our expenditure sheet. From one year to the last.
So 14,142, blah, blah, blah.
Is
Over the
3.02% higher than last year's budget.
Of 13,138.
1480. So I'm taking it from, okay, so Buzz's sheet came up with 1,525,473.
Gotcha,
Last
yeah.
year we were at 14.8.
Gotcha. And that's about 3%.
That's up 3%, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I haven't found it. This is 3% change.
I know first, like John, this is like old school stuff, been through this a lot.
I'm thinking I missed this meeting last year because I don't remember doing this.
Well, I didn't really go into depth explaining it this much, but I figured we have the time and it's probably a good thing you guys know it.
No, I think it's great.
No, I appreciate it.
So I just have,
Pardon?
2.78.
3.02.
Oh, okay.
Was the tax, is that the tax
Anyway.
rate, 2.9?
I don't wanna.
87.
No, it's 3.02.
In the taxes? He just said two
No.
point something.
I was looking at the bottom line. I didn't do-
Oh,
Okay.
So, Kim. Just so I can explain it in lay terms. So we do expect to get 1.24 because of the 125 on the expected revenue. For total tax revenue.
Oh, well, no, that's, I mean, that's if everybody pays that, and then you do get the current use funds.
Okay, and then the 1.420 already takes into consideration subtracting the 174 and subtracting the 130.
Right,
Okay, so now then, where is the gap gonna be filled from 1.24 up to 1.42? Where is that gap gonna be filled? But revenue required to cover this bottom line. Expense.
that's our,
I mean-
our taxes. So we're
Yeah, but
not,
our expenses are 1.5,
but we
No,
have
we
the,
took those
we have
out.
the current use coming in,
okay.
and we have the state aid.
Where is that on a line item?
Last page of your expenditure.
Okay.
Well,
This one.
But that's not in the 130 other line.
No, mine.
yeah, the budget.
See right here? Alright, so there's our total, that's including the 200,000, now I'm taking off the anticipated variable, and I'm taking off the 130 for grant, so we have to raise this much in money for taxes. So our
that's where it's
taxes,
gonna be.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay. So it's not that the taxes are not based on the 1.5, the taxes are based on the 1.4.
right,
Got it.
exactly.
Okay,
And that's why I have to make the revenue come up to the 1420.
okay, I get it.
And
I get it. Sorry to take up your select board.
that's where it says
That,
taxes.
especially in that on.
We got 45 minutes, so.
Let me see how the tax rate is based on the selectmen's budget, the highway budget put together, after the revenues are taken off, these two items and the capital. So I take that and divide that into the grand list value, and that gives us our tax rate. But we never know the grand list value until June 30th. And this year, I don't even know if, usually Party's really great about guessing and gives me kind of ballpark. I don't even know if we can this year because we're in the appraisal.
Right.
And it's a statistical one, which is even different. So it's gonna be really hard for me to even guess ahead of time, like I've been used to in the past.
But does he have a CLA?
Well, he has a CLA from last year. We don't get a CLA usually until about July or August.
So we use the CLA from previous year?
No, the CLA is the percentage, just the
Yeah.
common level of appraisal, so that's only a percentage. We need the actual grand list dollar amount, our value of all of our properties in town. And we can't use last year's because I think all of the values are going
Yeah, it's supposed to
to
be.
go up.
Yeah, I guess that was one question I had, how does that, we're getting Whatever capacity.
So
It's gonna readjust.
it can, and it can be in our favor or not, because depending on how the high up the grand list goes, and if our budget stays here, the grand list goes up, and then you divide, it's lower.
Right.
But not everybody's. You know, so just because your assessed value goes up high, doesn't necessarily mean your taxes are gonna go out of this world.
Right.
Because it's gonna be offset if our budget,
With
if
the
our
same,
budget's 12% and then our. As our appraisal goes up or our assessed value, then yeah, I mean, it increases.
but the
So
state,
can
the
kind of
state's telling us, the school, that the
Oh, okay, that's pretty.
school tax is gonna be up 12%.
Right, so the school tax,
School taxes.
Like that.
quick tax,
But
and not necessarily the town, because we already know the town's only at, 3%. But if we go up more than 3% on our taxes, it's the school.
There's an overall measure,
Yeah.
but some people whose taxes are praised higher,
It's like
and the
7%.
3% by that higher now. Their individual.
Maybe Hardy is.
They go up, even though the rate of the whole town is.
It could.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions on, you guys are okay, then must be with the expenditure, no other.
I'm okay, but I don't. Hey,
I don't mind, I've had it here before.
No, you explained everything really well.
No. No, with the capital budget, I know Hardy's gonna go over that, but there were a couple of suggestions at the end of it. One was taking some revenue from the highway department.
How would you take
I
revenue
don't know.
from the highway? To add to the capital? I mean, the only difference,
There was a recommendation on there.
all of this would make is if you ask, if you're asking, your article to be more than 200,000. And I think right now the committee, well, Hardy knows, but I think the committee, with dividing everything up, it came to 200,000. So it'd be up to the board when you hear it, whether or not you wanna change some of those categories for dollar amounts and swap them around, or do you plain old wanna do more than 200? If you do, then I will do more prefiguring.
No, but with the figures that were attached to, I think we all got them on the capital budget. There were some recommendations at the end of it, just,
I didn't even print off of the capital, I didn't think of it. Okay.
I did,
But
I did, yeah, it's in
I
the,
can make some. copies. I got
Attachments.
one. I have this one,
I'm looking,
but I don't know. So you're looking at what part of town you're talking about?
yeah, the last page had, we had 2 recommendations for the select board. One was on moving some revenue, I don't know, anyway,
Oh, so he still wants to leave it at 200.
yeah. There's
He
no
wants
reason
to
for
recommend
that.
the Lincoln Foundation Nature Museum. Oh, he wants us to look into possibly
Right.
then doing a little bit of rental, but that wouldn't have anything impact on.
But there is something on highway.
Or that.
I don't have my computers.
Something
for it.
addition to this.
look, here it is. No, that's just that,
We
hold on, I'll
want to
find
take
it,
some
bear
other-
with me,
Highway fund. Post it in future years.
is it on here?
Is there a
Can you read
special-
that out loud?
It's right on the board too.
Oh,
Would you want to
thank you.
take some money from the highway fund for?
I recommend the select board.
Is there a special?
I have no idea what he means by that.
Good thing he'll be here in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
why I was just bringing it up. As he
Ah.
walks through the door. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't remember that. We're looking at your last, example here. Would you wanna take some money from the highway fund short term and replace in future years? I'm not sure, they were asking me about it, they're going over the expenditure. What was that? Ours, our town government,
Okay,
but,
it wouldn't count from your town levy.
or Kathy was just asking, what does this mean from the highway fund?
Well, the point is, the select board controls all of the funds.
Mhm.
So if they wanna take some money from a fund and move it to another fund, they could do that. But it's up to the select.
What he's saying, Kathy, is you have a lot of money in the truck equipment account.
Right.
He's saying you wanna take some of that out because you don't need it now and replace the culvert up on Fisher Hill.
Just allocate it someplace else.
Reallocate.
It's in the capital budget.
It doesn't-
you know.
Doesn't mean you're taking away from.
No.
Oh, okay, that's how I took it.
No,
That's why I asked him.
I didn't know you had to do that. That was just
Okay.
Okay,
an idea of how to get that culvert
yeah, some
started.
of these culverts are over $300,000. I said some of these culverts are even over $300,000.
He's 500.
Yeah,
Well, if you go all the way out,
Yeah, 2.91. 2.91, I thought I came up with a little bit.
Yeah, that's what.
And that was based on,
okay,
I think it may just be a slight calculation.
based on the 1480733 and 1525473, and then 148. These two. That's a little different because we had a change at the end of the year, and that's why the budget changed, that had to do with, I forget what it was we gave. I used to some of that, yeah. Helping the budget, so yeah, so you're probably fine.
Okay, so it's,
It's primarily close to 3%. 2.91,
Yeah, it's only a little off.
yeah,
I'm not sure.
it's the difference of what.
yes, it told us 2.91.
That was a. I found it in childcare contribution. I had in this spreadsheet 500 and it was supposed to be 800, so it must have been changed.
It probably been changed. Yes, because it was miscalculated percentage in the very beginning. I had a lower percentage. And it, instead of zeros, 0.0011, I think, or something like that.
Okay,
So that's
so
why it changed.
the accurate number is the 3.92.
So this one I'm sure of, not showing these numbers
So there's-
of this sheet.
So are there any numbers changing that we just talked about?
Yeah. No, Cause this sheet is right for the expenditures with the 1.2 zeros and something like that.
So these names, maybe either of you guys, highway road construction computer software fund, I'm struggling to find them on this. Where do I see those? Is our language different? You know what I mean? I don't, like, I'm wanting to see that number somewhere here and I'm not matched. Oops, it's our.
Is that from the capital budget?
This is the one we was looking at, part of the question of. Use of funds, highway road and structures fund, computer software fund. I'm trying to.
It's not in there. It's on the capital. This is.
Oh, this is all the capital, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
It's a penny.
It's all my fault.
Okay, I don't wanna get too far off track, but should we, are we good with the revenue fund?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm all-
We're fine, we're fine. Is there any?
Suzanne.
So we haven't got them in.
Suzanne, that's a good question.
Yeah, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Another guy.
I'm just wondering if.
Shot one with one hand, when he was dragging it out, it fell off, he was grabbed onto it.
I don't,
I didn't hear
I
what she
think
said.
we have another budget meeting in 2 weeks.
We don't.
I think this
No,
is
this is-
revenue
this is-
expenditure,
yeah.
everything together, and unless anything changes. We're going to take these, Victoria and I, and then she puts them into a warning.
Yeah.
And then I think we should be good to go.
Okay. I'm just wondering if we could take a look at the balance sheet. When do we take a look at the balance sheet?
Actually,
Balance sheet break down.
the expenditure,
No.
or you wanna know
Look at the
the.
balance, or that. I'm questioning it, I'm just wondering about it because we're doing a lot of dirt stuff. Let's be involved.
I can print one out the next meeting. And give it, yeah, I mean, I could have done one today with the expenditure, I can do it before the meeting too, and hand you guys the balance sheet.
That'd be
As
good.
part of the expenditure, if you guys would like to see it. Again, I think you guys are familiar with it. But I'll put that on.
That'd be great. Kim, thanks.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other business? Any public comments? Thank you, Kim, for all your work.
Yep.
Next regular select board meeting Monday, December 15th. 2025 at 6 P.M.
Well, capital hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion to adjourn the rest of the show.
Motion to adjourn.
Second motion to adjourn.
To adjourn the meeting?
Aye.